I've spent most of my life as a doctor witnessing countless patients come through my office, many of them in their golden years, struggling with the same issue, the slow, quiet erosion of their independence. As we age, we don't think much about the small things, how quickly we can walk, how easily we can stand up from a chair, or how steady our steps are on a staircase. These are things we take for granted, but they are the very things that can slowly begin to slip away as time marches on. I remember one particular case, a patient of mine, an elderly gentleman who was once strong and independent, came in one day, trembling slightly as he stood before me. His legs were no longer the sturdy pillars they once were. He spoke softly, almost ashamed, saying he had fallen for the first time in years. His pride was wounded, but more than that, he was terrified. Terrified of what this meant for the rest of his life. What would happen next? Would he be dependent on others forever? Would he lose his ability to care for himself? What many of us don't realize is that this loss of strength, especially in the legs, isn't just about being unable to walk or stand. It's about losing something far more precious, our independence. It's the fear of needing help, of being unable to do the simple things that once came naturally. It's the creeping thought that we are slowly becoming a burden to others. And, for many of us, it's the unspoken fear that we are nearing the end of a life that once felt so full of possibilities. But here's the truth. There's a way to fight back against this. It's not too late, no matter your age. You can maintain strong, steady legs well into your 90s, yes, even at 94, and keep your independence. And it all starts with something simple, something that many of us overlook: vitamin D. You see, when most people think of vitamin D, they think of strong bones. But what many don't know is that vitamin D is just as important for maintaining muscle strength, particularly in the legs. Without enough of it, our muscles weaken, our balance becomes compromised, and the risk of falls increases dramatically. And this isn't just a small risk. Studies show that 1 in 4 adults over the age of 65 will fall each year. That's a staggering statistic, but it's one that we can change. I know from years of experience as a doctor that many seniors are walking around with undiagnosed vitamin D deficiency. And this deficiency is often the silent culprit behind so many of the falls I saw in my patients. The muscle weakness, the trembling legs, the difficulty walking, all of these can be traced back to low levels of vitamin D. It's not just about the bones, it's about the muscles that keep you moving, the muscles that keep you strong and independent. Imagine, for a moment, how your life could change if you didn't have to worry about falling. What if you could stand up from your chair without feeling weak in the knees? What if you could walk without fear of losing your balance? I want you to picture yourself, years from now, still walking confidently, still doing the things you love, without that nagging fear in the back of your mind that you're getting weaker by the day. It's possible, and it all starts with taking control of your vitamin D levels. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how do I make sure I'm getting enough vitamin D? How do I keep my legs strong and steady? The answer, my friend, is simpler than you might think. It's about being proactive, taking small but powerful steps to ensure that your body is getting the nutrients it needs to stay strong, healthy, and independent, and in this video, I'll share exactly how to do that. But before we dive in, if you find this video helpful and want to see more, be sure to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you're not just supporting the channel, you're helping me create more content like this, so we can continue to share knowledge and help others live healthier, longer lives. Now, I want to leave you with a question to think about. Which is more important for maintaining independence in older age, staying physically strong or staying mentally sharp? A physical strength, B mental sharpness? Comment your answer below, or B, and let's see what you think. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more helpful tips. I've spent decades in the field of medicine, witnessing the gradual decline of many patients as they age. I've seen firsthand how something as seemingly insignificant as the strength of one's legs can drastically alter the course of a person's life. But what most people don't realize is that maintaining strong, steady legs isn't just about lifting weights or going for a walk each day. It's about something far simpler, yet just as critical: vitamin D. As a doctor, I spent years treating elderly patients, And one thing I learned is that we often overlook the power of vitamin D in maintaining our strength and balance, particularly in our legs. You see, vitamin D is more than just a bone health nutrient. It's a muscle strengthening powerhouse that plays an absolutely pivotal role in maintaining your ability to stand, walk, and keep your independence as you grow older. Let me take you back to one of my patients, a woman named Margaret. She was in her late 70s when she first came to me with complaints of weakness in her legs. "Doctor, I feel like I'm getting weaker every day," she said, her voice tinged with fear. "I can't walk like I used to, and I'm afraid I'll fall." I could see the whirring in her eyes. She was afraid of what losing her mobility would mean for her future. She had already lost so much over the years, and this felt like the final blow. She couldn't imagine needing someone to help her get up from her chair or walk across the room. It was a terrifying thought. I knew that the issue wasn't just aging, though. Margaret wasn't the only one. I'd seen this before, and I knew there was more to her symptoms than simply getting older. The more I examined her case, the clearer it became. She was suffering from vitamin D deficiency, and this deficiency was slowly robbing her of the muscle strength she needed to maintain her independence. Vitamin D isn't just about bones, as many people mistakenly think. It's a critical nutrient for muscle function, too. Research has shown that a lack of vitamin D can result in weakened muscles, poor balance, and a significant increase in the risk of falls. It's a vicious cycle. As our muscle strength declines, we become more prone to falls, and as we fall, we lose even more strength. For many elderly patients, this cycle of decline can feel unstoppable. But here's the crucial part. Vitamin D can break that cycle. In Margaret's case, after running the necessary tests, I discovered that her vitamin D levels were far too low. This wasn't just a minor issue. This deficiency was the root cause of her muscle weakness. You see, vitamin D is essential for helping the body absorb calcium, a key mineral that supports both bones and muscles. Without enough vitamin D, your body struggles to use the calcium it gets, and over time, your bones become more brittle and your muscles weaker. This is where sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass, begins. And when sarcopenia takes hold, it can lead to a dramatic decrease in mobility and an increased risk of serious injuries. Imagine, if you will, trying to get up from a chair or climb a set of stairs when your muscles are no longer strong enough to support you. The fear of falling, the loss of confidence, the humiliation of needing assistance, these are all things that can steal away your dignity and independence. But the good news is, vitamin D can help prevent this. By ensuring that your vitamin D levels are sufficient, you can maintain the muscle strength necessary to stay active, stay mobile, and keep living life on your terms. For Margaret, once we started her on a vitamin D supplement, we began to see noticeable improvements. Her energy levels increased, and she no longer felt as weak in her legs. Her balance started to improve, and she became more confident when walking. While it didn't happen overnight, over the course of a few months, Margaret regained much of the strength she had lost. It was as if the fog that had clouded her mobility had started to lift, and for the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful about her future. The research backs this up. Studies have shown that seniors who supplement with vitamin D have a significantly lower risk of falling. One study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that seniors who took vitamin D supplements had a 23% lower risk of falling than those who did not. Another study, published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, revealed that those with low vitamin D levels had weaker leg muscles and slower walking speeds, both of which are directly linked to a higher likelihood of falling. It's not just about the bones, it's about the muscles that keep you moving. Vitamin D is the missing link that helps prevent this dangerous cycle of decline. Without it, we are left vulnerable. But with it, we have a chance to preserve our strength, our balance, and our independence. As a doctor, I've spent my life helping people understand the importance of their health, and this is one area I feel particularly passionate about. Many people don't realize the connection between vitamin D and leg strength until it's too late. I've seen patients, like Margaret, come into my office with leg weakness and balance issues, only to discover that they were severely deficient in vitamin D, and once they started supplementing, It was like a light bulb went off. They started to feel stronger, more stable, and more in control of their bodies. For you, it's never too late to take action. Even if you're already experiencing muscle weakness or balance issues, there's hope. With the right amount of vitamin D, you can start to rebuild your muscle strength, improve your balance, and protect yourself from the dangers of falls. It's a simple, effective solution that many people overlook, but it can make all the difference. In conclusion, vitamin D is essential for leg strength. It's not just about bones, and it's certainly not something to be overlooked as we age. Ensuring that your body has enough vitamin D can help you maintain your independence, keep you active, and most importantly, prevent those falls that can lead to so many other problems. It's a small step, but one that can have a profound impact on your health and your quality of life. As I reflect on my many years of practice, there is one issue that stands out more than any other: the profound, often unnoticed impact of vitamin D deficiency, especially among older adults. Throughout my career, I've witnessed firsthand how this deficiency silently affects the health and quality of life of countless elderly patients, many of whom didn't even realize they were suffering from it. The reality is that vitamin D deficiency is alarmingly common among seniors, and its consequences can be far-reaching. But, more importantly, it's something that can be addressed, something I've learned through years of experience, and I want to share this knowledge with you. Let me take you back to one particular case I encountered several years ago. I remember a patient named Edward, a man in his early 70s who came to me with complaints of fatigue, muscle weakness, and a general sense of being off balance. He had recently fallen in his home, something he never thought would happen to him. Edward had always been the strong type, someone who loved gardening, walking, and staying active, but the fall shook him, and it left him feeling defeated, afraid to move around the house without assistance. When I examined Edward, I noticed that he seemed to have no energy, and his muscles were weaker than they should have been for a man his age. After running the appropriate tests, it turned out that Edward had severely low vitamin D levels. At that moment, it became clear to me that what he was experiencing wasn't just a result of aging. This was a classic case of vitamin D deficiency, something so common in seniors, yet often overlooked. In fact, vitamin D deficiency is a widespread issue among older adults. Studies have shown that over 60% of seniors are deficient in vitamin D, which is staggering when you consider how important this nutrient is for overall health. You see, as we age, our bodies become less efficient at synthesizing vitamin D from sunlight. This means that even if you live in a sunny climate, your body may not be producing enough vitamin D to support muscle and bone health. For many seniors, this deficiency is a silent problem that develops gradually over time, unnoticed until symptoms like weakness, fatigue, or balance issues start to appear. The truth is, this deficiency is often undiagnosed. For years, I've watched as patients like Edward came in with vague complaints. They felt tired, weak, or unsteady, but couldn't pinpoint why. It's only when we ran blood tests that we discovered the problem was vitamin D deficiency. What's troubling is that even when vitamin D levels are tested, doctors sometimes overlook the deficiency, chalking up symptoms to aging or other common conditions. However, it's critical to understand that low levels of vitamin D are not just about bone health. They have a direct impact on muscle function and balance, which is why so many older adults experience falls, muscle weakness, and reduced mobility. I can't stress enough how dangerous this deficiency can be, especially when left untreated. Seniors who suffer from low vitamin D levels are twice as likely to experience serious falls and fractures, which can significantly affect their independence. In fact, the risk of falls increases exponentially as vitamin D levels drop. It's a sad reality that I've witnessed all too many times: patients who fall and suffer fractures that could have been prevented simply by addressing their vitamin D deficiency earlier on. But it's not just about the risk of falls. The long-term effects of vitamin D deficiency go beyond muscle weakness. Over time, it can contribute to a host of other health issues, including osteoporosis, rheumatoid arthritis, heart disease, and even depression. This is particularly concerning because many seniors are already at higher risk for these conditions due to the natural aging process. Vitamin D acts as a safeguard, helping not just bones and muscles, but also supporting immune function and mental health. When levels are low, seniors are more vulnerable to a range of health problems that can have a serious impact on their quality of life. One of the reasons why vitamin D deficiency is so common among older adults is that aging naturally decreases the body's ability to produce vitamin D from sunlight. As we get older, our skin becomes less efficient at synthesizing vitamin D. In addition, many seniors spend more time indoors, which further reduces their exposure to the sun. It's a double-edged sword. The body's ability to produce vitamin D decreases just when older adults are less likely to spend time outside, leading to a vicious cycle that's difficult to break. Another factor contributing to vitamin D deficiency is the lack of awareness about its importance. Many seniors, especially those who grew up in a time when nutrition wasn't as emphasized, may not be aware of the critical role vitamin D plays in their health. It's common to hear people say things like, "I don't need to worry about vitamin D, I'm getting plenty of sunlight." However, even with sunlight, older adults are still at risk due to the natural changes in their skin. Additionally, the foods that are naturally rich in vitamin D, like fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified dairy products, may not be part of the daily diet for many older individuals. The good news is that vitamin D deficiency is something that can be addressed with relative ease. By increasing sun exposure, incorporating vitamin D-rich foods into the diet, and supplementing with vitamin D if necessary, it is possible to bring levels back into the healthy range and significantly improve muscle strength and balance. But the key is early intervention. The sooner you realize that you may be deficient in vitamin D, the sooner you can start taking action to prevent the complications that come with it. As I always tell my patients, don't wait until you're falling down to realize you need more vitamin D. It's one of the most common deficiencies among seniors, yet it's also one of the easiest to address. The first step is awareness, recognizing the signs and understanding the risks. Once that's done, taking action to restore your vitamin D levels can make a world of difference, not just in preventing falls, but in preserving your overall health and quality of life as you age. In conclusion, vitamin D deficiency is alarmingly common among seniors, but it doesn't have to be a life sentence. With simple lifestyle changes, you can regain your strength and protect your independence for years to come. As a doctor who has spent decades helping seniors navigate the challenges of aging, I can tell you that it's never too late to start taking care of your vitamin D levels. Your legs, your bones, and your future will thank you for it. As a doctor who has spent many years practicing, I've come to understand that some of the most insidious health issues are the ones that sneak up on us silently, without much fanfare. One of those silent threats, which I've seen time and again in my elderly patients, is vitamin D deficiency. It's a deficiency that's often not recognized until the damage has already been done, and even then, it's easy to attribute the symptoms to something else, something less concerning. But the reality is that vitamin D deficiency can have a significant impact on a person's quality of life, and the signs are often right in front of us. I can't tell you how many times I've had elderly patients come to me with vague complaints, fatigue, aches, and a general sense of not feeling right. When asked how they were feeling, the response was often the same: "I'm just getting older, doctor." I guess this is what happens when you get to my age. And while age does bring its challenges, it's not the only factor at play here. In many cases, their symptoms were not just a natural part of aging, but a clear sign of vitamin D deficiency. One patient, Eleanor, sticks in my mind. She came to me complaining of feeling constantly exhausted, despite getting plenty of sleep. Her legs felt weak, and she found herself struggling to stand up after sitting for any length of time. She described feeling like her body just wasn't working the way it used to, but she had no idea why. I'll never forget how defeated she sounded when she said, "I don't understand it, doctor. I'm doing everything right, I take my meds, I try to stay active, but I feel like my strength is just slipping away." After a few simple tests, I discovered what was really going on. Eleanor, like many older adults, had a severe vitamin D deficiency, and her symptoms, the fatigue, the muscle weakness, the difficulty standing, were all classic signs that something was wrong. These were not just the effects of aging, but rather the consequences of not having enough vitamin D in her system. Unfortunately, Eleanor's story is not unique. So many seniors are walking around unaware that their symptoms are actually a red flag for a deficiency that can easily be treated. The signs of vitamin D deficiency aren't always immediately obvious, and they often appear in ways that are subtle at first. This makes it easy to dismiss them, especially if you're already dealing with the challenges of aging. But I've learned over the years that if you pay attention to the body's signals, you'll start to see patterns, and that's when you realize that something is amiss. Muscle weakness is one of the most common and telling signs of vitamin D deficiency. When my patients describe their legs feeling weak, heavy, or unstable, I always ask about their vitamin D levels. This weakness isn't just about age, it's a loss of strength in the muscles, and it's directly linked to inadequate vitamin D levels. You see, vitamin D plays a crucial role in muscle function, and without enough of it, muscles don't get the support they need to stay strong. Over time, this can make even basic activities, like getting up from a chair or climbing stairs, feel more difficult and exhausting. I remember another patient, James, who was in his late 60s when he first came to see me. He had recently noticed that he was getting winded after just a short walk, and his legs felt increasingly weak. "It's like my muscles just don't want to work anymore," he said. I could see the frustration in his eyes. As a former athlete, he wasn't used to feeling like this. After some tests, I confirmed that James had low vitamin D levels, and his muscle weakness was a direct result of that deficiency. Once we began addressing the deficiency with vitamin D supplements, he started noticing improvements in his strength. Within weeks, he was able to walk without feeling out of breath, and his legs felt stronger. Bone pain is another symptom that often goes hand in hand with vitamin D deficiency. Over the years, I've seen many patients complain of aches and pains in their bones, particularly in their legs, joints, and lower back. They often attribute this discomfort to arthritis or the natural wear and tear of aging, but in many cases, the real culprit is low vitamin D. Without enough vitamin D, the body struggles to absorb calcium, which is essential for bone health. Over time, this leads to weaker bones, and the result is pain and discomfort, particularly in weight-bearing areas like the legs and lower back. I can remember Sarah, a long-time patient, who had been dealing with chronic back pain for years. She had tried countless treatments, but nothing seemed to help. After a blood test revealed a vitamin D deficiency, we began treating it. Within a few months, Sarah noticed a significant decrease in her pain, and she was able to move more freely. She no longer woke up with the same stiffness and discomfort she had grown accustomed to. It was clear that her pain was a result of her vitamin D levels, and once we addressed that, her quality of life improved drastically. Another sign of vitamin D deficiency that many people don't realize is the slow healing of wounds. As I've mentioned before, vitamin D isn't just important for bones and muscles. It's also essential for the healing process. When your vitamin D levels are low, your body has a harder time repairing itself, which means that cuts, bruises, and injuries take longer to heal. This is something that can be especially concerning for older adults, as slower healing times increase the risk of infections and complications. One of my patients, Grace, had a small fall that left her with a bruised knee. Normally, this would have been a minor issue, but the wound didn't heal properly. Weeks went by, and the bruising was still visible. We ran some tests, and sure enough, her vitamin D levels were dangerously low. Once she began taking vitamin D supplements, her healing process sped up, and the wound finally began to heal. This experience reinforced just how important vitamin D is for overall health. It's not just about preventing falls or building muscle strength, it's about helping the body recover and heal when it's been injured. Finally, leg cramps or spasms are a common complaint among those who are deficient in vitamin D. I've seen this countless times in my practice. Patients often report waking up in the middle of the night with intense leg cramps that leave them in pain for hours. These cramps can disrupt sleep, making it harder to get the rest needed to stay healthy. The reason for these cramps is simple. Vitamin D plays a key role in muscle contractions, and when levels are low, muscles are more likely to spasm and cramp. These symptoms, muscle weakness, bone pain, slow healing, and leg cramps, are all common signs that something is wrong. And more often than not, the cause is low vitamin D levels. As a doctor, I've seen firsthand how vitamin D deficiency can rob people of their mobility, independence, and overall quality of life. But the good news is that once you recognize these signs, you can take action. A simple blood test can determine if you're deficient, and from there, it's a matter of restoring your vitamin D levels through supplements, diet, and sunlight exposure. Don't wait until it's too late. If you notice any of these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't dismiss them as just getting older. Vitamin D deficiency is treatable, and with the right care, you can reclaim your strength and vitality. It's never too late to start taking care of your health, and it all begins with recognizing the signs your body is giving you. As I sit here reflecting on my many years of experience as a doctor, I can't help but think about the countless patients I've encountered who have struggled with something so simple yet so profoundly important: vitamin D deficiency. It's something that's often overlooked, especially by those of us who are aging, yet it plays an absolutely critical role in maintaining our health, strength, and independence. I remember one patient in particular, Margaret, a woman in her 80s who had always been active and vibrant. But over time, she began to feel more and more fatigue, her legs growing weaker and her balance starting to fail. She came to me complaining that she could no longer walk without feeling winded, and she feared she was losing her independence. After running tests, I found that her vitamin D levels were shockingly low. I immediately understood why she was feeling the way she was. Her body wasn't receiving the essential nutrients it needed to maintain strength and mobility. For many people, vitamin D deficiency isn't something that's immediately obvious. It creeps up slowly, affecting us in ways we don't recognize until it's too late. But here's the thing: vitamin D is not a nutrient we can afford to ignore. If you're not getting enough of it, your muscles become weak, your bones become brittle, and your balance deteriorates. All of this leads to a greater risk of falls, fractures, and, ultimately, a loss of independence. But the good news is that you don't have to wait until you're in a crisis to take action. You can make small but significant changes today to ensure that your body gets the vitamin D it needs to stay strong. Let's begin with the most natural way of getting vitamin D: sunlight. I know, you've probably heard it before. Get more sunlight, but there's a reason why this piece of advice has stood the test of time. Our bodies were designed to produce vitamin D naturally when our skin is exposed to sunlight. The sun's ultraviolet UVB rays trigger the production of vitamin D, which is then absorbed by the body. This process is incredibly efficient, especially when we're younger. However, as we age, our skin becomes less efficient at synthesizing vitamin D, and for many older adults, sun exposure is limited, whether due to health conditions, mobility issues, or simply spending more time indoors. This makes it all the more important to prioritize sunlight exposure as a means of getting the vitamin D you need. But don't expect this to be a quick fix. Spending just a few minutes in the sun isn't going to cut it. To really boost your vitamin D levels, aim for 20 to 30 minutes of direct sunlight exposure several times a week. The best time for vitamin D production is around midday, when the sun's rays are at their strongest. If you live in an area with long winters or cloudy skies, you may struggle to get enough sunlight, and in that case, you may need to turn to other methods. Which brings me to the next point: diet. In an ideal world, we'd all be able to get all the vitamin D we need from the sun. But the reality is that getting sufficient vitamin D through diet alone can be difficult. The best sources of vitamin D are fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, and sardines. A 3.5-ounce serving of salmon provides about 570 international units EU of vitamin D, which is roughly the amount an average adult needs in a day. But let's be honest, not everyone loves fish, and even if you do, you're unlikely to eat it every day. Another good source of vitamin D is egg yolks. While it's true that eggs don't contain as much vitamin D as fatty fish, a single egg yolk contains about 40 IU, and if you eat several eggs a week, you can help boost your levels. Dairy products such as milk, cheese, and yogurt are often fortified with vitamin D, which makes them an easy and convenient way to increase your intake. For those who follow a vegetarian or vegan diet, fortified plant-based milks such as soy, almond, or oat milk and fortified cereals can provide an additional source of vitamin D. However, despite these dietary sources, it's often difficult to get enough vitamin D from food alone. That's where supplements come into play. As a doctor, I've prescribed vitamin D supplements to many patients, and it's one of the most effective ways to restore optimal levels in the body. There are two main types of vitamin D supplements: vitamin D2-acetylcholecalciferol and vitamin D3-cholecalciferol. While both are effective, vitamin D3 is generally considered to be more potent and is better absorbed by the body than vitamin D2. If you're considering taking a vitamin D supplement, it's important to consult with your doctor to determine the appropriate dosage for your individual needs. For seniors, the recommended daily intake of vitamin D is 800 to 2000 IU per day, depending on age and health status. However, your doctor may recommend a higher dose if you are deficient. It's important to note that vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, which means it's better absorbed when taken with a meal that contains healthy fats. So, when taking your vitamin D supplement, be sure to pair it with a meal that includes foods like avocado, nuts, seeds, or olive oil. But vitamin D isn't the only nutrient you need to keep your muscles strong and your bones healthy. Magnesium is another essential mineral that works in tandem with vitamin D to maintain optimal health. Magnesium helps activate vitamin D in the body, allowing it to be properly absorbed and utilized. Without enough magnesium, your body won't be able to fully benefit from the vitamin D you're taking. Foods rich in magnesium include leafy green vegetables, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. If you're not getting enough magnesium from your diet, a magnesium supplement can be helpful as well. Now, I know that all of this can seem overwhelming: sunlight, diet, supplements, and magnesium. But I want to reassure you that taking control of your vitamin D levels doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with small, consistent steps that can make a significant difference in your health. By ensuring you're getting enough vitamin D from sunlight, food, and supplements, you can protect your muscles, bones, and overall well-being as you age. For Margaret, the journey toward better health began with recognizing the problem and taking action. We worked together to increase her vitamin D levels, and over time, her energy returned, her muscles grew stronger, and she regained the confidence to live independently again. She wasn't just taking a pill, she was taking her life back. And that, my friend, is what I want for you too. It's never too late to start, and the benefits of adequate vitamin D intake are immeasurable. Whether you're 60, 70, or 90, you can take steps today to ensure that you're getting the vitamin D you need to stay strong, healthy, and independent for years to come. As I reflect on the years spent treating patients, especially older adults, there is one critical lesson I have learned that has shaped my approach to health. The small, often overlooked factors in our daily lives have a massive impact on our overall well-being. Among these, vitamin D stands out as a silent but powerful force that significantly influences the quality of our lives as we age. So many of us, as we grow older, begin to notice the slow but steady decline in our strength and energy. We may brush it off as just getting older, but what if the root cause is something as simple as a vitamin D deficiency? I've seen it time and time again, people losing their balance, their independence, and, most importantly, their confidence because of something that could be easily addressed. It's a reminder that the key to healthy aging is not just in managing the visible symptoms, but in recognizing and addressing the underlying causes early on. Vitamin D deficiency is one such issue that many people overlook, thinking it's too minor to warrant attention. However, the truth is that it plays a major role in maintaining muscle strength, bone density, and overall balance. The simple act of ensuring that you have adequate vitamin D levels can dramatically alter the course of aging and keep you feeling active and independent. Take, for instance, the case of Margaret the first mentioned earlier. Her struggle with weak legs, poor balance, and the fear of falling was a wake-up call not just for her, but for everyone around her. What seemed like an inevitable part of aging was actually a vitamin D deficiency that, once addressed, led to a complete turnaround in her health and mobility. Margaret regained her confidence and independence, and she felt empowered to live life fully again, without the fear of losing her independence. Her story is a powerful reminder that we can all take control of our health and make small changes today that will have a lasting impact on our futures. The lesson here is clear: small steps matter. We often think that aging is something we can't change, that it's inevitable. But the truth is, there are many things we can do to improve our quality of life and maintain our strength, flexibility, and independence for as long as possible. Whether it's spending more time in the sun, incorporating vitamin D-rich foods into your diet, or taking supplements, there are simple and effective steps we can take to address deficiencies before they become debilitating. These steps don't require drastic changes, but they can have a profound impact on how we feel day to day. So, how can we apply this lesson to our lives today? Be proactive with your health. Don't wait until problems arise. If you're feeling sluggish or noticing physical symptoms like muscle weakness, it's worth considering if a deficiency could be at the root of the issue. A simple blood test can help you understand your vitamin D levels, and from there, you can make the necessary changes to improve your health. Embrace small, consistent changes instead of trying to overhaul your life overnight. Focus on small changes you can maintain. A short walk outside every day for sun exposure, adding a serving of salmon or eggs to your meals, or taking a vitamin D supplement are all manageable steps that can make a big difference. Prioritize your independence. As we age, our fear of losing independence can be overwhelming. Taking control of your health, including your vitamin D intake, can help you stay active and self-sufficient. This isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. Remember that aging doesn't mean decline. Aging is inevitable, but the way we age is within our control. By focusing on nutrition, physical activity, and proper care, we can age gracefully and maintain the strength and independence we value most. Now, I want to hear from you. What small step are you going to take today to improve your health and ensure a strong, active future? Whether it's spending more time outside, making better dietary choices, or consulting with a doctor about vitamin D supplementation, let's talk about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas and share with others who may benefit from your perspective. If you found this video helpful and want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps keep the content flowing so I can continue sharing valuable insights with you all. If you'd like to further support this channel and the mission of providing useful information, please consider donating. No matter how much, your contribution will go directly towards creating more content like this and ensuring that I can keep helping others, especially as I'm growing older myself. It's my passion to give back to society, and your support, whether through subscribing or donating, will keep this mission alive. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. Together, we can live healthier, more fulfilling lives at any age.